Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your daily NVIDIA report for Wednesday, October 30th, 2024. But before we check out the charts, I just want to ask you to please click like, share, subscribe, and check out wickedstocks.com, where we offer a full suite of both daily and weekly analytical videos, just like the daily Tesla and daily NVIDIA reports, daily analysis in the SPY, daily analysis in the Triple Q, weekly analysis in the S&P 500 index, the NASDAQ 100 index, and Apple stock, as well as 2 individual stock picks a week that you never see on YouTube that cater to the 3 to 5 week swing trader out to the 3 to 5 month near term investor, always looking for 20% moves or more on those underlying stocks. And you get to see all of this for free. We offer a 5-day free trial up front. So check out wickedstocks.com. Let's take a look at the charts. I'm going to start once again with the 2 to 3 week time frame just to provide kind of big picture clarity. And that is that any upward movement into the low 150s should be considered a sell opportunities over not only the 2 to 3 week, but possibly the 3 to 5 week scenario. And I'll get to that in a moment. And then any downward retracement into the lower 130s considered buy opportunities over the 2 to 3 week time frame. As both can contain buying. The 132.24 formation can contain selling into later November, and from here we can round up. I'm going to say these are guesses, of course, but this was about a 2 to 3 week move here off that early October low, and so just another one of those 2 to 3 weeks. Yes, 152.75. Once we test that, we can fall back to some variation, I like to say, of the lower 130s channel, because if we were to push to 152.75 over the next couple of days, in other words, to take out this trend line, then we readjust this channel bottom, which would then be probably more in the mid to upper 130s. And that's one of the reasons we like to produce these on a daily basis, because these numbers do change. The structures, I call it the dynamic approach to trend identification. And so there you have it. In terms of 152.75, will we see it sooner than later? Will we see it before we test 132.24? The answer for me is yes, if we close today, for instance, above 143.71. That is the high settlement price that was put out about a week and a half ago. And if we close above 143.71 by the end of next week, I see 152.75, where we could top out through November and from here fall back to what would then be a new channel bottom. Nothing more than a trend line now that is in the upper 110s, but would be considered a realistic 3 to 5 week target following a testing of 152.75. And in fact, do we show that anywhere? I don't think so. Well, we do kind of on the weekly chart. Yeah, we do kind of on the weekly chart here in the 108.92 to 113.10 area on a week by week basis. And I'll go back to the weekly chart again, that if we were to test this 150s, 152.75 on the daily chart I showed a moment ago, but 156.40 on the weekly chart, if we were to test this area, then we can within a full month, 5-6 weeks or so, fall back to channel support in the 110s, 108.92 to 113.10. That is the big picture. But the 2 to 3 week time frame is 132.24 to buy, 152.75 to sell. Closing above 143.71, we should see 152.75 by the end of next week. On the way up, 149.86 can contain intraday, possibly daily buying pressures. Now for the downside, holding below 143.71 will keep this, and you can see it here as a red line, this 136.69 to 137.78 region in reach, possibly today. We've abandoned any pivot points inside this area. It's just too meandering. There is no clear kind of even a 2 or 3 or a 4-day trend right now. It is just sort of two-sided, as is normal market behavior. And in fact, I think you can buy the 136.69 to 137.78 region through next week. Because this, the trend from early September clearly remains bullish, and so you're buying into that updraft, and you're getting an early lead, if you will, 136.69 to 137.78. Now, if we close below 136.69, then you either have the choice of exiting that long position at the end of the day, or at some point during the day, or you hold out for 132.24, because I would expect it within a day or two of closing below 136.69, 132.24, anticipated, where once again we can bottom out through next week, even well into November, and once tested, we can round up into the 150s and climbing within 2 to 3 weeks, 3 to 5, I'd say at the most. But until then, these convergent channel structures in the 136.69 to 137.78 area still present, I think, a buy opportunity through next week. Now, as they begin to diverge, as the 137.78 continues to climb and 36.69 drops slightly, you can see that over time, by this point next week, for instance, the 136.69 slightly descending channel bottom will converge with the more meaningful 132.24 anyway. So this is where we sort of nuance the support and resistance. Upside today, we just have minor points once again to 143.71. We could trade inside this sort of 137.78 to 143.71 area for the next few days. And if we close above 143.71, we expect 152.75 by the end of next week, I think is realistic. This is, though, pulling away. It could take the better part of 2 weeks. And inversely, if we were to close, below the 137, it is 136.69, we are only anticipating within a day or two 132.24, where we could bottom out well into November trade and round up into the 150s from there. It would be a settlement, last thing I'll say, below 132.24 that would indicate a good high through November activity. The market then likely to fall within 3 to 5 weeks into the 110s, 110.24 to 113.13. In terms of the options trade, I'll articulate kind of the big picture again, that as we're slipping, if we're slipping into the lower 130s over the next few days, climbing daily, you could consider reaching for, 155, 160 strike out of the money calls that don't expire for at least a couple of months. This is like a 3 to 5 week move. This 152.75 level rising gradually. And inversely, if you're pushing into the low to mid 150s over the next week or two, or wherever these formations are, then you may consider reaching for 135 strike out of the money puts that don't expire. This is probably a 2 to 3 week swing. Don't expire for at least 6 to 8 weeks or so. And also, one last thing I will say, I know I was about to say the last thing, but I haven't yet, is as we're pushing into the 152.75 area, you may consider reaching for kind of the 110s, 120 strike out of the money puts, because this is kind of the big picture trade, as I mentioned earlier. If we push into the mid 150s over the next week, 2 or 3, it is the 110s you may anticipate as a downward objective. And this is the absolute last thing I'm going to say, and that is that if we were to close above 156.40 over the next week or two, that indicates 167.34, a one-year channel structure that may well contain buying through all of Q1. This is rising at a pretty good pace, 156.40, and actually by the end of the year, it converges anyway with 167.34. So we'll be watching this on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis and see how it plays out, and we'll provide you those price points, those important price support and resistance levels to trade off of through the rest of the year and into 25. So we're not going to stop the NVIDIA analysis anytime soon. I'm going to leave it at that. Please click like, share, subscribe. Check out wickedstocks.com. Take advantage of our 5-day free trial. Daily Triple Q, daily SPY analysis, weekly Apple stock analysis, etc., etc. And you can see it all for free for 5 days. I'm going to leave it at that for Wednesday's NVIDIA report. I will be back tomorrow with Thursdays, and you have a great evening.